In this video, I'm going to talk about how to prepare yourself for a difficult conversation with anyone. Quick overview of what I'll be covering in this video. First, I'm going to talk about why difficult conversations can be so difficult and what gets in the way of us having them effectively. Then I'm going to share a little bit about a process that you can use before you get into a difficult conversation to help it go better. And then finally, I'll share a little bit about a few magic words that I've found along the way that can help make difficult conversations easier. Let's go. One of the major reasons that difficult conversations are so difficult is that we tend to avoid them. And we avoid them because we have a belief that conflict is bad and wrong. Another thing that can get in the way is that if we show up to a difficult conversation with negative energy, with anger, with resentment, with blame, with shame, with complaint, then we can project those feelings not only onto the other person, but onto the conversation itself. So what I invite you to do, two things before we get into the actual steps, is to reframe conflict and to understand that conflict is actually positive, or it can be positive, especially depending on how you show up for it and how you lead a conversation. So conflict is something that generates transformation. It generates change. In the past, if you look at history, a lot of times revolutions and conflict are how we break through to a new level. Think about the American Revolution that gave rise to a whole new sense of freedom for individuals that never existed anywhere else in the world before that, or in very, very small pockets, but never as the guiding principles for a nation. Want to acknowledge, obviously, that we didn't necessarily live up to those principles perfectly, or very far from perfectly, and they still were a statement of values that we have started to try to live up to more and more as time has gone by. And the second thing is, after reframing the conflict as something positive and that creates new possibilities, is also to understand that if you can get clean and clear first and lead the conversation from that place, you're much more likely to get a better outcome from the conversation. Doesn't even matter if the other person does this work on themselves. Just one person doing this work can often transform a relationship, a conversation, anything really. Now, just to give you a little bit of background about how I've discovered this, number one, I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and for the last 8 years, I've been leading clients in a personal growth, business growth development program. I do this in a group coaching format, and a lot of times my clients in the past especially have come to me looking for magic words or magic bullets or ways that they can create better outcomes with their own clients in their own families. And so they've come to me like, Michelle, tell me how to say this. Tell me how to do this. And for many years, I did that. But over the last few years, I've discovered that so much of the work, it doesn't even matter the words you say, but rather the energy from which you say the words. In fact, my kind of guiding mantra these days is energy precedes outcomes. If you can clean up and clear out your energy first, it matters a lot less what you say, and instead the energy from which you're saying it gets received and perceived by the person you're having the conversation with. And yes, words matter, but the words you pick will be different depending on the energy that's running through your system. Now, before I dive into the actual steps, I do want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, maybe even shoot me a comment below. So I think I'm going to end up with 3 steps to this process. The first step is what I refer to, and a lot of coaches and spiritual people refer to as alchemy. And what I mean by alchemy is it's a word that comes from a tradition. Do you remember like alchemists in the old times, like hundreds of years ago, tried to turn lead into gold? In other words, they tried to turn something not very valuable into something extremely valuable, right? So I'm using the term to refer to energetic alchemy. And what I mean by that is alchemizing some negative emotions, negative ways of being and patterns and energetics into positive, valuable ones. Now, I know that for some of you, you're like, well, Michelle, why are you calling some emotions negative if if all emotions are valuable. Well, I mean, because there are certain emotions that will serve creating more connection, more trust, more love than others. If we show up to a difficult conversation with anger, resentment, shame, blame, what we're likely to get back is the exact same emotions reflected back to us. If we show up to a conversation with love, equanimity, compassion, all those things, then we're likely to get more of that back. So if we can clear out or alchemize these emotions that we're feeling and get neutral, clean and clear, unattached first, then we can show up in the conversation with more possibility to create deeper connection, right? And the thing is, even if we want to let go of a client or break up with somebody, we want to do it with love. You don't want to burn the bridge. You don't want to burn down the relationship. I would imagine if you want to have a difficult conversation, you'd rather have it end with love and joy and compassion and connection, even if it's a separation, even if it's a goodbye. So with that caveat out of the way, what does alchemy look like? What does it look like to clean and clear out your energy? This is going to sound counterintuitive. You might think I'm going to say, well, focus on the positive and put a smile on your face and do all these things to raise your energy. And actually what I'm going to say is quite the opposite. What I invite you to do with the alchemy is to fully feel the emotions, the quote unquote negative emotions. Fully feel the anger. And if you need to, scream. Here's a little secret that I don't share with anybody, but I guess I'm now sharing with everybody. I keep a towel next to my computer. This is something I learned from my mentor, Nani Leah Diamond. I keep a towel next to my computer so that at any moment, if I'm feeling frustration, anger, whatever, I take that towel, I bury my face in it, and I scream at the top of my lungs. I feel it as fully and completely as I can for as long as I need to until I can feel that that has moved through and it's gone. And once it's gone, once that energy, because that's what emotion is, it's energy in motion. Once that energy has moved through, usually I can have a higher perspective on the situation. Usually I can release something. Usually I can feel more compassion or generous towards the person or the thing or the situation that I'm angry and upset about. So alchemy is to let the emotion move all the way through, feel it fully, and then see what's there, see what's available on the other side. All right, the next thing you want to do is from that energy and from that clearing, notice what is it that you want? What outcome, what shift in the relationship, what transformation, and not from a place of what I want the other person to do. When we start to focus on what we want the other person to do, we start getting into territory of power play and manipulation. So I want you to release the other person and really focus on what it is you want. Now, this can be really hard. So let's say you're having a relationship issue with this other person. You're like, I want him or I want her to do this. I want her to be this way. I want him to clean up after himself or whatever that thing is. Let that go and come back to you. I want to live in a beautiful environment. I want to be in a space that's clean and organized, right? What is it that you want without the dependency on the other human? And this is hard because we can project onto that person the ability to make or break what we want. And what I want you to do is separate from that and just really get into what I want to create. The third step, and by the way, there's going to be 4 steps now. The third step is to get into the other person's shoes, to disconnect from yourself for a moment and you may even want to go sit in another spot. You might, to just tap into the other person and imagine yourself as the other person and think about what is it that they want? What is their desire? If you can tap into it and really seeing if you can get into compassion and empathy and understand what they're looking for. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. You might want to write all this down and then finally reaching out to that person and approaching that conversation with that open heart, strong spine, soft front, so that that person is receiving you as clean and clear and loving as possible. And then from that place, whatever is true. It may be that it's a goodbye. It may be that it's a negotiation of agreements. But coming from the place of, hey, so-and-so, here's what I'm looking for. Now, you don't have to provide this for me. You don't have to, I'm not asking for anything from you yet. I just want to share with you what I want, my desire is, and I'd love to hear from you what your desire is. And then from that place, perhaps we can create a new agreement together. So something like that. I hope that this was helpful for you. And if you're looking for ideas about how to use these types of processes and alchemy in your business and in your life, and you're looking for support from a coach, a consultant like me, then you can learn more about my programs and services at superstaractivator.com. And you can even sign up for a discovery call with me at superstaractivator.com/go.